Hi, hello, and welcome to the FinancialFox. This is Steffy, and today is another episode about gaming. I will be joined by Ian Bentley, CEO of WAGMI Game. So, why games need a blockchain? Why they need NFTs? Do they need it? What's actually the point? I'll cover that in the interview with Ian. So we will have a very clear answer why you want to look at blockchain for gaming, but also we are going to talk about the importance of actually playing a game, and you don't really need to understand crypto to play a game, because the point of the game is to have fun and play the game. It's not about speculation or making money on some kind of tokens or assets like NFT. So I think those are important things that we are going to be covering. But if you have any other question after you've watched the interview and you want to send me an email, feel free to do so at steffi@financialfox.news, or you can add your comment in the comment section of the video on YouTube, and we will also reply there. Okay, let's get into the interview. Hi Ian, how are you?
Good, Steffi. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm very good. So, we met in Miami where you were on a panel talking about WAGMI and talking about onboarding more people into blockchain games. And I was really struck by your contribution to the panel and, your messages that was very clear, right? And the massive opportunity that blockchain can actually bring to games, but most importantly, the ability for game producer and game designer to onboard the people without letting them know they are actually using blockchain and make all the user experience so easy, which I think is a very important point that we kind of need. I wanted to discuss today, but I also want to unpack for my viewers and my audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny because we're recording this on a Monday, and I kid you not, I'm probably spent a good solid 6 hours on Saturday and 6 hours on Sunday with the team to continuously try to figure out how to create these UIs for mass adoption to make it as simple as possible, because the technology behind what we're doing is very complex, but it's all about how you can keep it simple, stupid, that KISS acronym, to be able to just say, okay, somebody who has no idea about crypto, how can they come into a game, understand in-game ownership, and then be able to sell their assets and be able to get their money in their bank account, right? That entire funnel has to be something that is so simple that if you have these complicated things that happen, which is very difficult with wallets and signing things and L2 to L1, and how do you get the money from this part back to my bank account, and understanding all of that, that's all the things that we're constantly trying to challenge ourselves to be able to create that one funnel, so that from start to finish, when somebody enters a game to when they actually trade their assets, they make some money and be able to actually spend it in the real life. That whole entire funnel is, nobody's figured that out yet in crypto, in gaming and NFT. And that's one of the things that we're constantly challenging ourselves to be able to do.
Let's rewind a little bit, because I wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us about your experience in the space, and then we can kind of hit the point, why blockchain in games, which I think is a very important topic to clarify, so terms don't get confused between gaming, metaverse, and all these kind of topics that now they are very hot.
Sure, sounds good. I'll give you my 10,000 foot overview and a quick pitch. But my name is Ian Bentley. I'm the CEO of WAGMI Games. We're actually developing it's called WAGMI Defense. It's a tower defense game. It has the same similar mechanisms to a Clash Royale, defend your towers. Clash Royale has had well over 500 million downloads worldwide and has done well over a billion, maybe $3 billion of revenue since they've been in business. So that being said, we're taking that tried and true business model, We've created an entirely different ecosystem. It's sci-fi, aliens versus humans. But what we're trying to do is, instead of trying to complicate things with what you said, like you said, metaverse and NFTs and crypto, we're focusing specifically on the game and in-game ownership. So the difference between playing our game on your mobile phone as opposed to a Web 2 regular game is you just throw money away in Web 2. It's 100% for entertainment, where what we're doing is we're allowing anybody who plays to have ownership of their characters and different cards that they play in the game. So in the event that they do like the game and they level up their cards, there's a secondary market that potentially they can sell their assets and trade their assets for money. And it's a simple message, but it's convoluted a lot with all the technology having to do with crypto and NFTs, which, by the way, I think the NFT is the three-letter bad word. I don't like the terminology. I don't like the word. It's a piece of technology, but when it's all said and done, it's just a digital asset that you own. And if we simplify the language, the messaging, then we have an opportunity to onboard people. And yeah, we can talk about our onboarding process and how we're trying to simplify that as well, so that somebody who comes into the game has no idea it's even crypto or NFT based or blockchain, where they're just playing the game and it's fun. And we teach them that they own their assets instead of don't own their assets. So yeah, we're actually in test flight already. So we're coming out on the app stores here in the next month or two. So we're really excited to be one of the very first to market in this space.
Yeah, very, very exciting. So the WAGMI defense is basically in beta at the moment, right?
Test flight. I mean, we're pretty much past the beta. We're now in test flight, which essentially is we've got the gameplay where it needs to be. Now it's just a matter of getting all the assets where they need to be and all of the back end functionality, so that there's purchasing. And by the way, we're not requiring anybody to have any crypto to purchase anything in the game. We're the first in the world, I believe, that is going to be on the App Store that allows somebody to just double click their phone and then they purchase something in the game. And then at that point, they own their digital assets, quote unquote NFTs. So you don't need crypto to play our game.
Okay, so basically, tell me a little bit more about. So, do I have to use your wallet? Can I connect with MetaMask? And okay, so then if I want to buy, obviously you're going to be facilitating the off ramp, on ramp of crypto and fiat.
Yeah, so basically, the way we look at it is we want people to play that have no idea what a wallet is. So our onboarding process is, as soon as somebody wants to set up a account, which is a simple opt-in, right? A custodial wallet is set up on their behalf. So instantaneously, every single person is going to get what's called a WAGMI wallet. That WAGMI wallet, we're considering that their account. So we're setting up their account for them. So when they do a purchase, which can be regular money, we have the integration with a company called Immutable X, which allows for gasless transactions. So we're able to then take that purchase from the consumer via fiat and be able to then airdrop them their digital assets into their account, so that they actually have them there. And there was absolutely no MetaMask or anything required. Now, if you are in Web3 and you do have your own wallet, sure, we have that functionality where you can actually connect a separate wallet. But we're looking at it as mass adoption, because there's only 4% of the world that has any kind of, anything having to do with crypto. And that's not even MetaMask or wallets. That's even just Coinbase and dabbles in Bitcoin. So we're looking at the other 96% of the world, and how can we get a little bit of those people into our ecosystem. And then once they're in our ecosystem, at that point, then there's small tidbits of, did you know this is what you have? Did you know this is how you can trade them? And then yes, the off-ramp capabilities, so that once, let's say they do trade something, that they're able to instantaneously be able to say, okay, I made $50 on my General Stamima card, one of the characters in our game. How can I get that into my bank account? Or how can I spend that in the real world? And these are all the things that we're constantly trying to make sure that we have that funnel. So from the time somebody enters the game to the time somebody sells an asset that they've actually made a couple bucks on, how can they go spend that in the real world? And that entire funnel we're trying to do through educational processes and not require any kind of crypto to do so.
Okay, so I want you to explain me a little bit more about the educational aspect. So, what kind
Yes.
of content, educational content, you are doing on your platform? But before we go into that, your game is going to be a mobile game. So,
Yes.
tell me why you choose a mobile game and how big is the market for mobile gaming?
Yeah, so mobile is it actually, if you combine all of the console and PC combined, mobile still is more. There's more commerce that happens in mobile, and it's exponentially getting more of a differentiation having to do with mobile. If you look at a graph, so more people are playing mobile, and more people are spending mobile than in mobile than any other form of gaming entertainment. So that was number one. Secondly, we're able to go to market with a game much quicker with a mobile game than a spectacular, MMORPG that's in Unreal Engine 5 and all of these amazing games that people are in development with. But there's some of these games that essentially they're going to take years to be able to get them where they need to be. And we figured mobile is something we can go to market much quicker, and we're able to have developed. We're in test flight in 1 year, a game that we feel has high fidelity graphics and has cool gameplay, and it's super fun to play. And then third, we look at this as a business, not necessarily a blockchain organization. We have analyzed the KPIs and understand that the cheapest form of a user acquisition is via mobile apps. So it's hard. In fact, I think somebody that we're associated with said the average cost to onboard somebody in Web3 is about $300 to $500 per person. That's unsustainable. It's ridiculous. The KPIs to onboard somebody into an app store is between $1 and $9. So that in itself, between those three different mechanisms, we're just like, it's a no-brainer to go mobile.
Yeah, it's quite impressive numbers. But so when we come back to like onboarding new users, what are the main barriers that you have analyzed? They are creating a problem for people to come on the platform. Is the speed is going to be the wallet, for example, or what are the key that you kind of identified?
Well, to start off, it's not requiring crypto or a wallet to play the game or to purchase. To us, that is going to be the game changer, and we're hoping that as we go to market and more people come in and play our game, we're able to share the statistics with a lot of the Web3 community, and they see that our process is the biggest no-brainer ever. So it's really just being able to have anybody in the world come in and play the game and purchase. That's number one, right? So you don't need an expensive NFT in order to play the game. There's another company that's out there, well renowned. I don't want to mention their name, but I went to go download their app, and I needed a $500 piece of land to play.
Is this,
Unsustainable, like
yeah,
unsustainable.
it's the
So
same with Stefan, for example. I wanted to do this fitness app and I had to have the sneakers and, then obviously
hundreds
you
of
need to
dollars.
buy the NFT. Exactly.
See, the problem I think that most of the games have focused on is only crypto, thinking that everybody is in it to invest, right? Oh, it's an investment into land or an investment into these sneakers, and maybe I can make money off of it, right? That's an ethos that we're not interested in. We're interested in having a game that's playable that anybody can come in and play. You can actually play the game for free. Should you want to level up your characters, it costs about $10 or $12 to start, right? So very, it's apples to apples amongst other apps in the world. And then at that point, should you want to actually monetize your in-game assets that you now own, as opposed to don't own in another comparable game, then you have the opportunity to do so instead of forcing you're going to make money and you're going to earn all of these inflation hyperinflationary tokens that are going to be worthless. And there's all of these mechanisms that we don't agree with. in the space that we're actually just taking. We almost consider ourselves Web 2.5 as opposed to Web 3.
Yeah, so it's basically blockchain comes in with the digital ownership of your assets. That's kind of
Yes.
the main thing. And
Mhm.
is that the marketplace going to be on your game? Is going to be on your platform? Is going to be how have you been thinking about that?
So there's two forms of the way we're approaching it. Number one, we're approaching it as a game studio. So when you want to purchase something in game, you're purchasing it from us. So that's very simple. That way we're able to, just have the fiat on ramp and you can buy anything you want in the game. The secondary market is something that's going to be a little bit different, and that's where the educational process has to come into play on how to list your digital asset for sale. And when you sell it, what that means, like how you got your money into your account, your wallet, and if you want to off ramp that money, how do you do so? And having all of those mechanisms in place so that the user understands that. So one of the things that we're looking at, we've got relationships with GameStop. We believe that GameStop is positioning themselves as the eBay of in-game assets. So like if you have an asset that's worth something or rare, then you would post it on a secondary marketplace like GameStop or Rarible. And at that point, that creates a marketplace. We're also exploring just creating our own marketplace. So it's a seamless process as well. So there's all of these things that
You are looking at.
once yeah, well, once they get into the trading part of it, the educational process has to kick in. But until they get to that point, there is a seamless Web 2 experience that nobody even understands that this is based off of blockchain and NFT technology.
Yeah, there is one element that I wanted to discuss with you because sometimes you hear people talking about interoperability within games and
Sure.
interoperability of NFTs.
Mhm.
And actually, it's not so easy for a weapon, for, like an asset that is being designed for a specific game to be interoperable in another game that has got completely different world. So for me, this concept of interoperability of digital assets among gaming platforms sounds a bit strange. It doesn't really make sense, but I would like to know what you think.
Yeah, so if it's within the same ecosystem, like for example, we do have plans to have a second game. We do have the plans to, if you buy something in WAGMI Defense, it'll be playable in the next game. So you don't have to purchase the same asset twice, right? So that is one of the interoperability benefits, okay? Now, let's say that we're talking to another company and we say, hey, we would like our character in your game, or your character can come in our game. There's development that has to happen on the back end in order for that game or that asset to fit into another game. So it's not a magical like, oh, I've got an NFT and it's got interoperability. No, you have to form a partnership with that game studio, with that game, understand what gaming platform that they are actually on, if it's Unity, if it's Unreal Engine 5, and then at that point say, okay, which assets are we looking to have in your game and vice versa? And then at that point, there needs to be the devs that talk to each other to make sure that we get that file from that one company, bring it into ours, see what it looks like. And then if there's changes that need to be made so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, then there's the design and the development and the manipulation. So, yeah, I think that the term interoperability is tossed around like it's an easy thing just because it's an NFT. I think that's just one of those things that means that, hey, there's an opportunity that if you own this one asset, if it's put into another game, great, awesome. Does that mean that all the statistics come along with it? No, it's a different game. So you're just having to start from scratch, or you have to pre program what that actual character would have to do in your game as opposed to another game. So there's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into it.
Exactly, there is a lot of
Yeah.
work. But
Yes.
okay, tell me a little bit more about WAGMI Defense. I want to know what type of games, also what we should expect, what is
Mhm.
gonna, what what I can be doing. What, just tell me a little bit of what people should expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the influencers, the streamers that are on YouTube or Twitch, they're the content creators. A lot of them are focused on the wow factor. we are focused on the fun factor. So you can be anywhere in the world with your phone to play the game. It's player versus player, and it's a 3-minute game loop. So you're in and out within 3 minutes, and either you have destroyed your opponent's towers or your opponent has destroyed your towers. Now, through the game mechanism, it's really super fun. It's simple. It's not something that creates a lot of dexterity, so it's more of a strategy game. So essentially, there's an energy bar. So your energy bar, you want it to get as high as you possibly can so you can deploy multiple characters at a time on the map. But at the same time, your opponent might have a similar strategy or a different strategy. So at that point, you never know which strategy your opponent's going to be taking. So it's going to be basically, being able to manipulate what your strategy is on the fly. And in addition to that, we have a lot of different types of cards to play. So you have heroes. So we have, we've actually developed all of our characters from scratch. We own all of the IP. They all have backstories. We actually have a comic that we already have out, a digital comic on GameStop. So you can read a 40-page comic having to do with the story of WAGMI Defense, which takes place 1,000 years in the future. Aliens come down. They try to attack the Earth to mine the core element of the Earth, which is Nephi, nickel, iron, and it's a global war, right? So this is the story of WAGMI Defense. So, being able to understand what the story is, being able to come in and play a quick 3-minute game loop, playing it on your phone anywhere in the world, you don't need a lot of time to play with it. And then as you continuously play, you either win or lose. So there's, the currency, the Nephi that you're winning and losing. And it allows you to level up your cards. So should you level up your cards, go to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, plus the fact that we're going to have limited edition series of the characters having to do with the artwork. We've taken that from like a Pokemon, right? So, understanding that there's collectability and rareability of the actual cards themselves, it's going to create, some assets, some digital assets are going to be worth a lot more based off of the card, the artwork, the level that the card goes to. And utilizing the technology of the NFT allows us to then take the information from the game and transmit that directly to that one person's NFT, their digital asset, and it automatically updates that. So if somebody goes from a level 3 to a level 4, that will automatically be updated. So if they had that one card for sale, that card now obviously just goes from a level 3 to level 4 on the marketplace and might be worth a lot more. So, we have all of those mechanisms in place having to do with the game, but essentially it's a tower defense game. It's a 3-minute game loop. It's super fun, and you can play it anywhere on your mobile, and it's going to be available on the App Store and on Android.
Yeah, great. And I see there is a difference between in-game NFTs. I think you mentioned that, and also Genesis NFT. Can you just explain a little bit, for the people that are interested in the crypto aspect? Because we said that anybody can play without, being in crypto.
Sure. So we have multiple different things with our ecosystem. So last March, we dropped what's called a Genesis NFT collection. It was only 3,000. It has utility to it, right? So anybody who has, one of these Genesis NFTs has opportunities to gain rewards based off of money that we're taking from the in-game NFT marketplace and putting it into pools so that people can actually come in and make money essentially off of owning a Genesis NFT. So that's one piece of utility. We have our comic drop that we just released, which is digital, but also has utility to it. So anybody who owns one of the digital comics, every single month, as long as they've got an active account in WAGMI Defense, gets dropped comic-only NFTs, right? So therefore, there's 6,000, I think, comics available. So there's only going to be 6,000 NFTs a month being dropped to people, and they're going to have special artwork having to do with the comic. So again, it's that collectability of it and creating utility for it. But all of that is secondary to the game. So the game itself is just straight up, if you want to play a super fun game, you own your assets. So if I say I want to buy a starter pack, or let's say I want to buy all the aliens, or I want to buy all the humans, right? You have all of those in your account or wallet that essentially, should you determine that you like the game and you want to level up the characters, those at that point have the opportunity for the players to eventually sell them on the secondary market.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the concept of play to earn?
I don't like it. I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is there's, I mean, maybe 75 reasons I don't like it. Um, Number one, it's you're playing to earn, and it's not about the game. It's about the function of trying to make money. And I think that that skews what most gamers care about, and that's having fun. Secondly, the play to earn aspect usually focuses on tokens. And tokens, most of the, and I don't know if you get into tokenomics much of a lot of your other guests, but if you look at tokenomics, so you can look at fully diluted market cap versus market cap. If you go to like coin market cap or whatever, and you'll see that, let's say a market cap is like maybe $10 million, but a fully diluted market cap is $150 million. Well, that means all of those tokens have not even hit the market, which is going to dilute everybody's price as soon as that happens. So what happens if you're actually going in and, let's say maybe just, buying some tokens because you're bullish on a project? Well, if that play to earn aspect happens, what happens to your tokens? Like, people are selling their tokens. It basically is the opposite of what should happen. And then to me, it just seems like a lot of the first companies that did play to earn were more on the Ponzi scheme type mechanisms, honestly. And when it's all said and done, 2 + 2 has to equal 4, and keep on coming out with secondary tokens to be able to say, okay, now these are worth something. It's just like eventually, people catch on and they're like, it just doesn't work. It's not a sustainable model, where we believe in a supply and demand model, where if I've got something that somebody wants, it might be worth something more because it's an asset that I own, as opposed to I'm playing something in order to get free stuff in the form of tokens so that I can take and go and try to resell, and it's based off of whatever the market is as far as crypto is concerned. So there's so many different aspects that we don't believe in the play to earn aspect.
And I think this is also why many people in gaming, they don't like
Yes.
to be involved in crypto, to be involved with blockchain.
Yeah.
So, what are you saying to those people about, it's all just about digital ownership. What is the plus that actually crypto can bring to game? And if you want to also mention the term metaverse, because gaming or games are now part of the metaverse. So, what actually games can benefit from being part of this Web3 or a metaverse, space?
Yeah, the metaverse is going to be a lot of different things that we don't know yet. The way I look at what a metaverse truly is going to be is essentially being able to put on your VR goggles and walk into a virtual Louis Vuitton store and be able to sit and hold the Louis Vuitton and potentially shop. Like, that's how I envision the metaverse. There's also some VR stuff that you can do with games, but guess what? There's VR stuff with games right now. What's different from the metaverse there than what's being built in crypto? Not much. It's just going to be how the blockchain and in-game ownership is going to fuse that. So I think the metaverse, and the thing, like, for example, Zuckerberg with Facebook, he did a major pivot and he's suffering because of it right now, right? He took a lot of focus off of the social aspect of Facebook and is focusing on the metaverse. It's going to take 3 or 5 years to build that, right? It just is what it is. Luckily, Facebook has unlimited amount of money to be able to do what needs to be done, but he understands it's 3 to 5 years before anybody really figures out how the use case and people actually can submerge themselves into VR and into AR and into the metaverse. So gaming is just one aspect of the metaverse, and it should not be confused with ownership of blockchain. And we believe that the first step before we get to 3 to 5 years from now with the metaverse is essentially just, walk before you run, and don't worry about all of the things that it could be in 3 to 5 years, which that's a long time from now, especially in blockchain. But essentially, it is the in-game ownership that just basically takes it from understanding the blockchain,
Yeah.
right? Blockchain before metaverse.
So tell me about, what do you think, let's say, brands going into gaming?
Yeah.
lots of like fashion brand, they did partner with a game. They were kind of like testing, experimenting. What you thought about this strategy?
I think that there's going to be ways that now brands can incorporate things within games. So, how cool would it be to say, all right, great, Nike is now integrated into WAGMI Defense, and you can put on these cool, special edition skins of these Nike shoes that are Nefi shoes on your characters, right? Or maybe it's got the swoosh, which is 1,000 years in the future. So, I think it's product placement. It's opportunities to do product placement is where brands are going to focus. Are there going to be opportunities? We believe that there's opportunities in esport for our game. It's going to be competitive, 3-minute game loop, so you can player versus player. So are there opportunities to potentially do maybe innuendos within game that basically amongst our maps, maybe there's a swoosh, or maybe there's something else having to do with a different brand that we build in the game that people play. That's more of a branding subconscious deal, and then the ability to sponsor different tournaments and say, okay, great, there's special edition, let's say special edition NFTs having to do with the fashion brand. I'll stick with Nike. Let's say all of a sudden Nike says, hey, we're just going to do 10,000 of the general Stamimas, right? And we create the artwork with Nike, and we have it where that's a collectability, digital ownership, so that if anybody actually has one of those Nike NFTs, maybe every single time that you play the game, you can see your opponent's cards, and then you can see that they're playing one of those cool Nike NFTs, and that creates brandability within the game as well as product placement. So that's how I kind of see the first step of brands
I,
integrating with games.
I do agree with you about product placement because they move from, they use different kind of medium, and the one before games was actually social media. So,
Hmm.
there were brands selling stuff on Instagram, and now, they understand that you have to look beyond that.
Yep.
Listen, Ian, it was great to have you on the show. I think this was a very interesting conversation. And is there anything that you want to share about what WAGMI is going to be doing? You mentioned about the WAGMI defense, but anything else that you want, to give us the heads up?
Yeah, I mean, we look at this as a brand and as a franchise before just a game. And understanding that there's so much that goes into it, we've spent so much time on our characters and our lore and the story behind it, so that people can actually relate to the characters as much as they can just play the characters within the game. So, like we have, like I mentioned, the comic, we have all the backstories of the characters. We actually have a person who has worked in Disney with Star Wars that's building actual cosplay, costumes, and actual human or physical costumes, so that we can go into more of the Comic Con type, communities. So there's so many different ways that we're looking to be able to infiltrate the communities because of the brand that we've built, and get them to play the game. And like I had mentioned, it's so important to just make sure that the regular person can come into the game. So whether they like NFTs, they don't like NFTs, it doesn't matter. As long as the game is super fun, should they want to do something with their assets afterwards, great. Should they not care about it, great. Don't require this huge wall of ways to be able to get into a game. Just allow everybody to come into the game and have fun first, and then to us, we believe that the blockchain and crypto and NFTs is all the secondary part of it.
Fantastic, Ian. Anybody that wants to join the game, want to try to see, get in touch with WAGMI, where should I go?
Yeah, so we're very active on Twitter at WAGMI Gameco, WAGMI Gameco, and then also our website. If you want to just go to our website, you have the ability to literally just download the test flight right now. We have it on Android as well as on Apple. So that's wagmigame.io is our website.
Okay, Ian, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Steffy.